I'd like to do today is get your version.
And here we go with Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, God, yeah. I just remembered. This was Barry Diller.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt and I are sitting here today, and the first scene that you're seeing that's up was an additional scene on our movie requested by Barry Diller. Actually, he had a hand in writing it, and he was concerned that your character wasn't heroic enough.
I remember his reaction to the movie after he saw it.
I
don't think he's too good. I don't think he does great stuff. Well, and you saw it. You got it.
He didn't get it.
He didn't care to get it.
He didn't get it. So this whole sequence we shot after production, basically to, for the American audiences, I think, get your character to be heroic. This was the time of Rambo, though, you know. I think that's what they expected. They expected you to be Stallone, right?
Well, I remember you and I talking about this and saying that he could be the we would flip-flop the leading man and the sidekick, and the sidekick would act like the leading man, the leading man would act like the sidekick but not know it.
Exactly. and it's bizarre how no one got that.
Nobody. He just wasn't doing too good.
Oh, well. But once we get finished with this scene, then we're going to get into the movie proper. We started shooting our screenplay with you driving into San Francisco.
Right.
And this was originally based on a Western. It was originally a Western where a cowboy rides into San Francisco.
Right.
And he does the same basic thing. He gets involved. I think they stole his horse or something. Yeah. And so he has to go into this underworld.
Now, was this originally a Western in its writing, or was it?
Yes,
it was originally a Western period.
And
you were talking about. Remember, you were talking about Diablo.
Uh-huh.
El Diablo. Uh-huh. Remember you talking about El Diablo at the time? So I got something I think is kind of.
And but it was modernized by W.D. Rick Richter.
Right.
And now we have it modern day. And his rationale was, well, look, Rosemary's Baby worked because it was modern day. Why wouldn't this?
Right. And had he done Buckaroo Banzai?
Yeah, he had done that.
He was. I don't know what he's doing now, but he was pretty much the toast of the town there for a while. I remember that. He was.
And
he was a good writer.
He is a good writer.
Yep.
He wanted, again, like everybody else, wanted to be a director.
Yeah.
Except for you. You don't want to be
me.
So here's the opening sequence. Actually, the movie should begin.
Now, I had to learn how to drive that truck.
And how
I didn't drive it here. I don't remember driving it here, but I remember you said to me, now, you're actually going to have to drive this truck around Chinatown. And I don't want you tearing the set apart, so you better learn how to do this.
Now, you're supposed to be playing a truck driver, Jack Burton. He has a pretty big mouth on him. And, and in a sense, you know, what people are talking about nowadays is that we were a little ahead of our time. It seems like in every one of the movies that we do together, that people get it later.
You've noticed that,
yeah, I know. I kind of say to myself, well, that's the way it goes, I guess. And we were kind of ahead of the curve on this whole like Chinese and Kung Fu mysticism, which is now very popular.
And I remember you talking about doing the all-out great Kung Fu, martial arts.
Yeah. Ghost story.
Pull it out. Yeah.
And it basically is kind of a comedy, although I think a lot of people at the time really didn't get that. They were expecting maybe Raiders of the Lost Ark, or they were expecting
maybe Harrison Ford.
And your character was
I remember when I heard the music for this for the first time, and your voice was so low. I said, man.
Yeah,
it was a great sound you had on that.
Doesn't seem like I can sing that low, but actually I can. And,
I love this.
So we're now we're coming into supposedly San Francisco Chinatown. This was actually shot down in downtown L.A. in a set, and we had the rain towers going, and it's the stuff. And here you come driving in, and
see, now there's some.
I'm terrified that you're going to hurt somebody here. Not only you're going to hurt someone, but you're going to break the truck.
And it was early in the shooting.
Oh boy.
Who was the production designer? He was great.
That's John Lloyd.
He
also did the thing with us.
He was great.
Yeah, he's terrific.
Did a great job on this. After we finished with this set, didn't Janet Jackson use that set for. I've heard this a number of times. You use that set for some videos, and other people did, or portions of it, and
It's
also
still
the
being
look.
used. It's still being used right now. We finished in Big Trouble in Little China. We finished shooting. Most of our interiors were built on stage at 20th Century Fox. Okay, and after we'd finished shooting, I saw Michael Jackson walking around,
looking at it.
and here comes Janet Jackson's video in the city. Same set.
Right, same set.
It may still be there as far as I'm concerned. I don't know.
It was a great set.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he really built a great set. But I remember the sort of whole look, the color, and everything at that time. The videos just took that on.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Now you're playing with Dennis Dunn here, who plays Wang Chi, and you guys are gambling away.
This was Heaven and Earth, or what was it, Pai Gow?
Pai Gow, wasn't it? Pai Gow.
There's your director.
And there he goes. There he is right there. Yeah, we had a good time doing this movie, and it's a bizarre experience to have a film that you feel so good about.
Yeah.
And at the time when it was released, I didn't realize that they only spent at the time, their corporate policy was $3 million in advertising for the opening weekend.
This is when was this? 1986.
$3 million.
$3 million.
We had $3 million. And I remember one of the executives promised...
Isn't it great you can talk about this stuff now? And say, what's great is that it's forever you can talk about it.
And one of the executives said, well, we're going to put these big ads in the paper every day, big banner ads. I looked at these things.
I remember that. I remember saying, who is this guy? And I remember thinking, first of all, I don't think anybody knew me. Second of all, if they would have recognized me, you couldn't from the picture, and it didn't mean anything. I remember the ads were, who is this? Or where's he going? And it was like, oh, yeah,
who cares? Who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? I don't know who it is, and I don't care. And I can remember that about a week before the movie, some people said to me, don't you have a movie coming out? Didn't you and John do a movie? And I said, yeah, it's coming out like within a week. And they said, well, where you can't find it. Couldn't find it. It was pretty.
I want to point out to you that you had a pretty nice looking hair during this particular period. This is your...
Yeah.
Look at that. Isn't that nice? It's very nice. I
kind of an 80s hockey.
Oh, well,
hockey
it was. I love your performance in this. Of course, my favorite performance is still Captain Ron, but I say second to that.
Second to that is it. This was one of my favorites to do because we had so much fun.
Oh, it was a blast. It was a blast doing. The fun of making the film was, I think, reflected in the movie.
And we'll get to it at the end, but I remember when you said, now at the end of this movie, because of who this guy is, he's not going to be involved in a lot of this stuff. We got to think of something. We got to come up with a reason. But we didn't back off of it. I thought that was great, and to do something.
Well, see, that's what the kind of actor you are.
Yeah. I didn't.
You're not afraid at all. A lot of guys, you work with them, and they have their egos to protect, and they're afraid of taking risks. Seriously.
Yeah.
They're afraid of looking dumb, right? They're afraid of
looking bad. Yeah. That's what we tried. We wanted to have a guy here that was not quite as sharp as he thought he was.
He thinks he's a whole lot more capable than he is. He has a big swagger to him.
Yeah.
And
he's really useless.
He's out of it. He's completely out of it.
Completely out of it.
We shot this, as I recall, Kurt, we shot this in the fall and up into the winter of '85, I believe. And that's my recollection of it. We came out in '86. We actually shot Christmas. We shot around Christmas.
That's right. I remember
that
big picture. I remember that we did take the big picture for Life magazine.
Yep.
There was that open spread there, and that was fun having everybody in that shot. That was a good set too. Now he was a nice guy, Dennis.
Dennis was terrific.
I haven't seen him. I saw him a couple times since then, but I haven't seen him alive.
He's been working. He worked on a TV series for years and years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did.
Right.
And he's doing great. He's got a kid. He's married, and he's pretty happy.
Wow. He was a good guy.
And the two of you did real good together. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
Real good.
Yeah.
But again, I got really heavily into I just loved kung fu movies when I was a kid and when I was growing up. And I saw a whole lot of films that I dug, well, not just Bruce Lee movies, but these crazy ones. They make these crazy damn films that are.
You kind of got out the pile of stuff, didn't you? And you looked at the really good stuff.
All of it. I looked at all of it.
Because you had every top guy on the show. I remember that.
At the time, these were the top guys. And we added a little bit of everything to it. We start off, this particular scene starts off just kind of like an action scene. Okay, it's basic, it's real.
Yeah.
Then we end up with people flying through the air sword fighting.
Now, I just saw a little bit of, not the whole thing, but I saw a little bit of Crouching.
Oh, it's
hidden,
awesome.
Hidden,
it's
hidden
awesome.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden
awesome.
Dragon.
They're flying around on wires.
But some of that stuff that you did in this movie,
I didn't have
you didn't have that.
I mean, they have a sword fight on top of some trees. They go on rooftops.
Yeah.
They're using this 30-foot crane that moves on a track to haul the actors around.
Yeah, right.
Can you imagine you on a crane like this?
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'd love it. This is Kim Cattrall, who I think is just a fabulous actress and a great comedian. I really love her in this part.
I was just telling you a minute ago, I ran into her recently in New York, and she's such a big smash with Sex and the City. And it's great to see that.
Oh, yeah.
It's great to see that.
She was came in at the time, and she and Kate Burton, I told all the actors, look, this is a comedy, guys. Let's don't play this.
Keep that in the back of your head.
Let's remember that. Let's don't play it too. There's nothing dire going on here. Oh my God! Look at him. Look at this guy. He hasn't got a clue what's going on.
And they're gonna quit. She's looking for the girl with the green eyes.
That's right. Who's about to get kidnapped. This movie, strangely enough, found its audience on in home video.
Yeah.
People started to love it, and they watched it.
Well, it's fun to run into people today. You can always tell somebody's sense of humor by if they like this movie or not.
Yeah.
And I think of this is one of those movies that of all the movies I've worked on, they either love this or they never saw it.
They never saw it, and they wouldn't get it if we did.
They
wouldn't get it.
But now, all these years later, there are some people who just, this is tops on their list.
I know.
They really love it. And it's fun to talk with them about it.
Now, that's Jeff Amata there was pulling those knives out. He's been my stunt coordinator ever since this movie.
Ever since then.
And he and I have just finished a film together.
How did you find him for this? How did you get a hold of Jeff for this?
He
came in.
He just came in and played a part. And then he suddenly began to come behind the camera and say, does that look good enough there? Yeah. Can we do that better?
He's great.
And
he hasn't changed very much either. Last time I saw him, he looked the same.
Well, it pisses me off. I'm the one who's getting old.
I must say, it is fun now to look back on these, because I didn't, at the time, there was none of this going on. Where you
Not at all. There wasn't this at all.
You'd done, and you and I were just young guys having fun, and there was no thought of looking back.
And so it's really interesting now how things have changed. The technology has allowed us to do all this. We get to sit here and watch a movie that we made, 15
remember this
years
shot.
ago. Do you remember
now,
that?
You shot this. How'd you do this? Because I was trying to figure it out at the time and I couldn't. So I said, John, so what do I do here?
When the car comes at you, I had you guys, we did it in reverse, and I had you guys act backwards.
Right. We acted backwards. That's what it was.
The camera close enough, and you guys did great.
We acted backwards.
Brilliant.
This came natural for me.
Now, the sequence we're seeing now is all shot process. That's all rear screen back there. And actually, I was very impressed with how it looks. It looks very good.
All that stuff has progressed so much.
Look at that thing. It has. And nowadays, you can see it. They do it digitally, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing what you can do.
Jack.
Now we're into the real Chinatown, and we're starting to get into our set, and the first big kind of bizarre fight. There's Victor Wong, who we saw earlier, who is quite a character.
When you were doing this, because I remember on the other ones on Escape, and when we did Elvis, you were very, very well prepared. Wouldn't be the only word. I mean, you really knew what you were going to do. You really knew. And I'm looking at this now, and I'm realizing how many different shots there are. Were you pretty much doing what you had in your mind at that time, or were you finding things more on this show, or not?
Both. I realized trying to plan this movie out. See, storyboards to me are helpful, but boy, you can't get locked into them because it looks phony.
Yeah.
And a lot of this movie I discovered by you guys, the actors. It's what you guys are doing that makes it work.
And on these locations, looking around and finding stuff that you liked.
And we cut this movie extremely tight. This is one of the few films where the tempo is so fast that I wanted just everything to be just right up to it. So in terms of the action, no leisurely moments.
No air.
No air at
And
all.
as I remember you talking to us about, in terms of our acting, to really, Howard Hawks,
Pop it.
really
Yep.
pop it, really
Pop
go.
it, get up and go.
And
Now we drive on location here into the set that you were referring to earlier.
this is
there
it here,
is.
yeah. Now we're on the set, right?
That's it set, 20th Century Fox. We've got the little fog in there. And that truck, which just barely fit through there.
Just barely.
I actually believe you drove it.
I was talking to, Casino was on this,
Uh-huh.
and I remember him talking,
And Dick Warlock was on it, too.
and Warlock was too.
Oh, yeah. And it was just big enough for you to drive that truck from one door of the stage
I
around
can
to the
remember
other.
that you had to put it almost on rails because it was 2 inches.
Yep.
I mean, it was
Yep.
absolutely 2 inches, like this right now.
And like everything else, when you can't pan the camera
Mm.
too high because there's nothing up there.
Yeah, didn't make it.
Well, the man
We'll
behind,
just play it here.
the man behind the wheel may have had something to do with that. He's got
John, that's as far as I can get.
heavy on the hammer. This was our first kind of real big fight. And I remember one of the problems the studio had, which we solved in the dialogue kind of looping, was who are the good guys and the bad guys? Well, the whole point of it all was
You didn't.
to kind of be confusing
Yeah, you were
because
like
you're in
Jack.
the eyes of Jack Burton, who
yeah.
has no eye. Plus, does that guy right there look like a good guy?
So this was the interesting thing for me talking with you and Dennis about this stuff because I was the greenhorn,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't want to have a normal greenhorn. So
Yeah, you were it.
I was so you had to be a bravado greenhorn.
You were it. And all the guys in this fight were martial artists in their own rights. Okay, and
These guys were phenomenal.
everybody kicked some butt here
Yeah.
during this whole thing. And
I remember that guy.
yeah, Gerald.
Yeah.
He pulls his knife,
Yeah.
which he makes a little bit of use of later in the film. Actually gets one thing off by accident. Well, we got machine guns,
rip
but then after all this gunfire, then they really get serious. They start fighting hand to hand. Yeah,
This is
yeah,
great.
yeah. This was probably the longest fight that we did. Took the most pieces. We really worked on this. There's a lot of close-ups, a lot of work. It's pretty good today.
Yeah, it
doesn't
does.
Not too
it's
bad.
fun to watch.
Now things get serious. Now that gunfire is over with, they come and step out and start to get real serious. And I suppose we could have, Kurt. We could have had you trained to do a few of these moves.
Remember we talked about that. We said, "Now does he know this
is he
stuff?"
out
We
there
said,
and he's
"No."
going
He does. We
through
said, "No,
this?
he's a cowboy. He's just a swinger. He's not in their league."
And that's probably what
I think that's what people enjoy about that character.
they love it or they don't love it.
Yeah,
They say,
yeah,
"Where is
yeah,
it?"
yeah.
Where
What's he do?
I come to see Kurt Russell, and I've
He's
seen
not
him.
doing anything.
What's he doing here? He's sitting in this truck.
Well, you got these guys.
Well. But that was the commitment we made to it. It was
Yeah.
actually in the script. I mean, that was the script
That was the script they bought.
that they bought, that they offered to both you and I. And I thought maybe I think they saw a different movie.
Maybe.
I believe they did.
I never forget this though. This was I remember when we did the junket for this, and I've never been on a movie. I had never been on a movie up until that point, and have never been on one since then, where so many of the junket guys, the critics and
Right.
the reporters, I'll bet 80% of them said to me, "So how does it feel to know that when this comes out, it's going to be the biggest movie of the year?" And I was getting kind of like,
Hey,
I was getting
well,
like,
you know how
oh,
it goes.
gee, I think we did our best, and it was fun, and it's different. Well, remember the screening, audience screening numbers were huge.
Uh-huh.
They were 97% or something. They were absolutely surefire, massive
They
hit.
had it. Oh yeah.
And
This
then
is
I
it.
kept waiting to see ads and things, and it just didn't happen. It's like, what happened here?
Well.
Oh God.
Well, it was weird. That was the summer of Aliens.
Yes.
Aliens.
And it just goes to show you never know what a film's going to do, no matter what the numbers are on it beforehand. I think they're actually a lot better with that today. I mean, I think.
Do you think?
I think they're so accurate now that, and marketing has become Don't you think marketing's become?
They do. They're really good at that now. That's what
Yeah.
that's what they should. They figure out where the audience is.
Yeah.
And they go for it. They
And they
target
go for
it.
Yeah.
A little bit smarter than they were in those days.
Yeah.
Now we introduce rain and thunder and lightning, and I believe the Carter Wong comes cannonballing out of here first. There he goes.
Yeah.
Carter was an interesting
Carter.
guy.
Yeah, Carter Wong.
He was the real deal.
He kind of, I remember seeing him a couple times with his shirt off. He kind of going, man, this isn't natural.
He trained the Hong Kong police force.
Oh,
He did.
now did he just come in? Did he just come in?
He was a big martial arts star in China. He'd done a whole lot of movies over there.
Yeah.
He was one of the biggest, and he read from me. He couldn't, he really couldn't speak the language too well, and he had a really sweet voice.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
And he rides the lightning bolt down.
And this is Peter. Wait a minute.
Peter Kwan was Rain.
One was Rain. This is Lightning.
James Pax.
Oh, James Pax. Yeah.
Who I saw as a model, as like modeling in an ad, because he's a really handsome kid.
Yeah.
Bullets do not penetrate. And I, the audience is either you go here, you go with this stuff,
right now,
or
time
you
to
say,
leave.
what is this? I invented this little move here.
That was great.
Doesn't make any damn sense.
What?
They all said to me, what is this?
This is great stuff. Oh, they kept pull out the heavy.
The artillery. Oh, it's
Little
funny.
Elvis there.
It's funny.
Elvis Pax. Get out.
We got to go now. And now you're about to, they kind of fly up out of the way, and then you're about to encounter Lo Pan for the first time in his Mandarin outfit. We got a lot of heat from some of the, and interestingly enough, I've learned over the years that it's not always the right wing that comes and tries to censor. Sometimes it's the left.
It's the left.
It's interesting, isn't it?
What were they hammering?
Well, the
on you
Asian community was pissed off at me because I was white,
and you weren't.
and if I was
You weren't Asian,
right, and I was making a movie
Well, you should have
about,
known better than that.
and they said we were using the terrible stereotypes.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean?
Asians shouldn't have light coming out of their mouths.
Right. But the idea was, oh God, goes back to Fu Manchu and all those terrible things, and we want, where are the doctors and lawyers in the movie that show?
But I thought it was so cool that I don't think I've ever seen an American movie with the roles reversed in the beginning.
Never.
The lead guy
Never.
in this movie was Dennis Dunn. He was the lead guy. He knew all the stuff. He knew all the kung fu. He knew the terrain. He was the man who knew Indians. And Jack, the American, didn't know anything.
Yeah.
He was
He thought he
completely.
did, but
He
he
thought he
didn't.
knew, but he was completely out. I was the buffoon, so I would think that they would have.
You
would
would
have
think,
taken
but,
that.
but I don't think they saw it that way, and all the way through to the movie's release. I mean, they were honest. They thought that we were exploiting them, and it was like Uncle Tom stuff. We were doing all that old stuff, and that was the first time I'd ever encountered that. I'd never encountered that before, ever. Right?
Yeah.
It was a shock to me.
You had no idea
Like
it was
me?
coming.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, especially with I know, because you
Me?
were interested in upgrading. You loved them. You loved that whole world, the fascination. You were fascinated with it.
So I had to, I have to have my consciousness raised, I guess. So I talked to the actors. They said, well, guys, what do you think? I mean, what am I doing wrong? No, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
There's nothing to do.
No. So that wasn't pleasant. I guess I wasn't.
Okay, I just thought of something.
Yeah.
See the moccasins I got on?
Uh-huh.
Just this Christmas?
Uh-huh.
We walked by that store in Aspen and got Wyatt he's having
that
some
right?
moccasins
Is that
made.
right?
Yeah, and he said, Dad, don't you have some of these moccasins? And I said, yeah, I wore them in a movie once.
Now that's a pretty nice little T-shirt you had on there.
Oh yeah, remember we found that.
Now, how did that
Was
work?
good.
I don't remember.
That
where
was a
came
T-shirt that April Ferry found, that she actually found, and then she ran some copies
from. Really?
off.
They've been fighting for centuries.
What does that mean? Huh? China is here? I don't even
No,
know.
I remember this scene. To my shock was and I don't know why this should happen, but I remember shooting away at this scene
Buddies are flying around.
and being almost done with it and congratulating myself until Dean Cundy, the director of photography, said, "We haven't shot the other direction yet." What? I could sworn we did.
I thought we did that.
Really? Was one of my big shocks as a director. My God, what is wrong with me?
Oh man.
And this was there's actually a lot of dialogue in this scene, and it was played at rapid fire.
Yeah. I recently did I did one day on a picture that Bob Gale, who was Bob Zemeckis' partner, was getting his opportunity to direct, and I did one day, and it was the most dialogue I've had since this movie.
Is that right?
Yeah, because after this movie, just ended up doing a lot of movies where I didn't have a lot to say. Well, I think they finally said, if you don't give him a lot to say, he's not too bad. But I remember this was a mouthful.
Who were you playing with all this dialogue?
The picture is Interstate 60, I think. I don't know the title of the picture. Anyway, I'm a ponytailed cop, libertarian cop in a town that legalizes drugs.
Oh, that's perfect for you.
So that's no problem at all. So it was like,
you're there.
It was like, yeah,
you're there.
It was, do what you want to do.
Well, someday we have to get into politics and let you speak.
Oh yeah,
we got to do for the audience.
If you and I ever did a real politically charged thriller.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I mean, yeah, with all sides, just shred it, and just let it rip.
Let it rip.
Don't panic.
You thought this had a hard time finding an audience.
Oh, Lord. Kim, you and Kim are now introduced to each other basically again.
Yeah.
Join them lead.
And this was, this guy was fun.
Donald Lee. Yeah, he's terrific.
He was great.
Terrific.
He was great.
Can't get enough of me.
So we shot, this is again, right, this set is right inside that same interior city. It's right down, right built into the set. We shot so much of this on interior.
Yeah.
So much of it.
I remember one of my favorite lines, I think, is in this movie, of the movie. I thought it was really a real Jack Burton moment here, where he says, "Wait a minute, I'm feeling a little left out here, or an outsider." Here it is.
A little like an outsider.
Yeah, guess what? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a terrific character. It was really fun. And I just got to give you the credit for having the courage to do that kind of thing. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but you don't realize. I mean, believe me when I tell you how many actors
they just get scared.
They get scared, but they're not. No. They think that people will see them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
the way Barry Diller saw me in this movie. He said, I remember at the end of the movie, he said, "I don't get it. He's not that good at what he does."
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But I remember being impressed with how fast Dennis and Kim Cattrall could talk. Mm-hmm. They were so good at it.
Yeah, Kim and Dennis, Kim especially, could really rip that dialogue.
Rip it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go in there with you.
Now there was an interesting thing. We're having at this particular time we're having a whole deal with the Writers Guild in Hollywood. It'll probably be solved by the time that everybody's listening to this. But they want their writers to be on the sets.
Wait a minute now. You're talking about now?
Right in this moment. They want their creative rights for the writers.
And for the writer to be on the set.
And in the rehearsals. And we have to be paid to be there, so there's no changes done with them. They're kind of they want to be everywhere.
How do you feel about that? I mean, I think writers in the rehearsals is not a bad idea. I think a writer on the set is probably going to slow things down a little bit.
Beyond that, in this particular movie, Rick Richter came to the rehearsals, and for some reason he didn't like Kim and started rewriting her character.
Oh, really?
So she came to me and said, "This is bothering me."
Yeah. Well, I'm getting lost here.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
And so I had to gently say, maybe it's better you don't come in here anymore.
That's the
first time I ever saw.
Well, I thought she was just right. I never knew that, by the way. And I looked at that and said, God, she's just right.
He was a director in his own, and it's good. He had his own
different vision. Yeah.
So he wanted it, and it was strange. The dialogue was strange to me.
Yeah.
So, So here you are in this goofy outfit, and in your
Mama San's bordello. Oh yeah.
Henry Swanson is my name.
See, they don't get it. They just don't get it.
Stash, I guess. I mean, it's not deductible, is it?
Well, there's a pretty costumes in
Business
this
fun.
film, and the sets are just gorgeous.
They are.
Yeah.
I wish these were in color, because what I really am sort of in the mood for is a girl with green eyes. And price is no object, Mrs. O'Toole. Fresh off the boats the way I like them. The more exotic, the better.
Chinese girls do not come with.
So what about action movies now? Do you feel like you're too old to do them? You like
Yeah.
them? Do you?
I like smart action movies, or action movies that movies that have action that make you think a little. It doesn't have to be, brilliant, but I
Right.
think that you should think. But I do feel like I'm going to be 50 in March,
Child.
and
Child.
and you know what? If I read more scripts that were brainier in their
Right.
activity,
Right.
I'd feel right at home. But the scripts that I continue to read many of the times is just physical activity, and that I'm not interested in. Also, the last time I did them, I pulled that lottery chain one last time. You know what I mean? Was on Soldier,
you hurt
and
yourself,
I really
didn't
got hurt. And I said to
did,
myself, not only
Did you
not
break a
only am I
leg or
tired of
an
it,
ankle?
I broke my left ankle, and 4 days later I broke the top of my right foot,
What the
and I
hell
had
did you do?
I had the rest of the movie to do.
What did you do?
It was I wasn't going to lose that paycheck, so I just kept going. It was awful. It was just terrible, and I said to myself, you know what, Kurt, you're not as quick as you think you are. You're not as slick as you used to be, and you need to be careful. And I thought, you know what, maybe how about a courtroom drama?
You were a jock. You're a baseball player. I mean, baseball
but,
players get
after a
old.
while, you really do. It's really, I think in that regard, as a viewer, I'd rather see a younger guy. Matter of fact, it takes me back to when we did Escape from New York. Remember they wanted Charlie Bronson? And you said Charlie's too old. Charlie would have been great, but Charlie was too old, and he was only what? What was Charlie then, 47?
I don't even know.
I mean, this was 1980.
I don't even know what he was then.
And you said, no, I want this guy to be a 28-year-old
Young guy.
young guy. And I think that for the most part, it should be young
guys.
Yeah. I'd rather watch a younger guy. I don't want to watch a 50-year-old guy. I'd say, well, if he's good, if he's supposed to be the best at whatever he does, how about if you get a guy that's 15, 20 years younger who's just as good, and he'll be better.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. It's people look at Hollywood movies, at action films, and they think, well, it's all fake.
Yeah.
It
takes
guess
its toll.
what?
Yeah. It's just not. Guess what? It's
Guess
not.
what? A lot of people get hurt.
Yeah. I had never been that guy. I'd always been. I remember this day. I had a temperature of 104.
It was
I was
awful.
out of it. I was completely out of it.
We were on location.
You were
we were
great.
on location in downtown Los Angeles on that street where they've preserved all those old Victorian mansions.
Oh,
okay?
really?
You were sick as you
I
were
was sick.
sweating. It
As
was
sick as
bad.
I've ever been with us.
I know. It
I
was
said,
bad.
John, I'm really in trouble today. I'm really sick.
You did great.
And
I
you
don't
said,
know how
all
you
right.
got
And
through it.
you were great. You just said, do get it out. I'm going to shoot you first. Get it out.
You did great.
That no one's even laid eyes on this.
I don't know what happened to you, but
I
you
got
looked really
I
bad.
got really sick.
I can see it in your eyes when I watch the scene.
You
That's
did?
where
You
I
said,
can see
yeah.
it. That's where I can see it. They really are little eyes sometimes.
Yeah, they're little to begin with, but on this day.
Oh, and it's pain. When you see somebody else you know in pain, it's just
God.
it's awful.
I just didn't want. It was one of the few days where he just said, "Oh, I just want to go. I
Go
just wanna
home.
Go home and
We
sleep."
could have actually probably done that, taken an insurance day. Because your brother-in-law, Larry Franco, pushed you.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Okay,
no
he
mercy.
pushed me and he pushed you. So don't blame me.
Now Larry's doing good.
Oh,
Saw him
the top
not
of the
too
world,
long ago.
man.
He's doing great.
Yeah.
He's doing good. Still trying to lose weight.
Oh, come on. Is he?
Yeah, he works out every day now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but he's doing good. He's really doing good.
At the time we're doing this, he's doing Jurassic Park 3, isn't he?
I think they just finished it because I was talking to a guy who worked on it. And Matt Franco, did Matt work? I know he worked on Escape from
He was on
New York. Did he work on this? I don't think he.
I don't believe he did.
But he, we went and watched him in the World Series this
Yeah,
year.
isn't that cool?
That was great. It was really great. So Larry and I had a great time there.
Matt showed up at the set of Escape from L.A. one night, and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
What
he
is
was.
this?
He was
I just saw him when he was a
6'3"
kid.
and- Yeah, yeah. How's Cody doing? By
He's
the way?
doing great.
Is he?
He's doing fabulous.
Is he playing seriously? I mean, he's really
big time.
Yeah, he's big time. Yeah.
Yeah, music. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's what he likes. That's his
Yeah.
love. But he's 16. What do you want?
Yeah, he's good
young.
now.
Yeah, he's getting pretty good. He's
Yeah.
better than I am, and
Is he?
a lot of things. Yeah, well, he's got the key. He's got the keyboard down. He's got he can play, and he's sophisticated where I'm not. I'm really basic and simple, you know.
Yeah.
He's really good.
So he is he's gone on from the guitar and
And
is
he
also
loves
playing the keyboard.
the keyboards at this moment. But you know what
He's a
kids are like.
talented
They don't know until you get a little older what they're really going to end up doing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but he's sharp.
I'm gonna.
Wyatt's picked up the guitar, the lead
Has he?
guitar.
Is it really?
And he's working on a lot of Led Zeppelin.
Is that right?
Yeah. So he's kind of taking on some tough stuff, but he's getting.
Is he
pretty
still
good.
playing sports?
Yeah, he's hockey. And matter of fact, his team, the LA Junior Kings, went to Quebec in February last year in 2000, and they won the World Championship.
My God.
Yeah, he's still in the goal.
Was the old man there?
No.
Where were you?
No, I was. Oh, you mean at the thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was there for
gonna
10
say.
days. Oh, yeah. I was there for the whole 10 days. It was fantastic. 40 teams from. It was 135 teams from 40 different countries.
See, for the audience who's watching this movie,
They can really care about
listening,
this. Let's see. Back to Big Trouble in Little China.
See, this is what it's like when Kurt and I get together.
We talk about the stuff that matters. Yeah.
Really, the amazing thing about you as an actor, and I'm serious about this, is that the way you approach acting and your craft. Okay, because you were Disney trained.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a real good work ethic in terms of that. Real work ethic.
And that and TV, and in those days, well, when we did Elvis,
Yeah.
you had 33 days, 33, right? 33 days to do
3
hours
Yes.
of television, and it was Elvis,
Uh-huh.
and it was, I think, 16 songs.
Uh-huh.
I don't
188
come on.
speaking parts and 150 different locations.
And did it.
And we did it.
And did it.
But
And,
it's that dedication that you have to the craft that I wish other actors could understand.
I do think that that's a good thing for actors to get the opportunity and take advantage of having to do something. I mean, I also think it's true for writers. In the old days, they used to first write radio, and they had to pump it out. And they wrote TV, and they had to pump it out. And then they wrote movies.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, a guy writes a movie, and if it gets made, he's going to direct his next one. Not only is he going to write it, he's going to direct it. And it's a different world in that regard. I think there's been some growth in terms of that, but I think ultimately it's a good thing to be able to fall back on an ability to be able to pump it out. Because there's those days on the set when you got no choice.
Yeah.
You've just got to do it.
And people come up to me and ask me about your preparation as an actor, how you prepare for a part. It's really hard to explain it to them what you do. I think you figure a lot of it out ahead of time, but then you adjust at the moment. I think to things. It's hard.
That's just the most fun I've had with you in doing all the things we've done. I just always felt real comfortable by just asking you some simple questions that you always had a simple answer for, and we looked at each other and said, okay, we're going to do that.
Keep it simple, man.
Keep it simple. We're going to do that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to lock into it. We're going to believe in it, and then I'd go learn my lines. Make sure you know those lines. And I really think there's a lot to be said for that.
But you know other actors. A lot of them obsess and they worry and they get insecure on the set. Then they change. They want to change.
Well, I think one of the reasons that I've noticed that when I work with actors, when they get upset and insecure, is because they don't know the words.
You think that's it?
Yeah, and then if a director wants them to do something differently or see it a different way, they don't want to be bothered because they're still working on getting the line. Whereas if they really had the lines down cold, and I don't mean you rehearse it to a point where you're going to just do it by rote, but if you've got the words in your head, then when a director says, try it this way, you can go do it 100 different ways because the words are going to come. You don't have to worry about that.
Now, why wouldn't they know their lines?
That's I think just what I'm talking about in terms of there's not much training there. There's not much. Well, I don't think they're used to going to work on a television show. You're going to do 26 shows in 9 months. You're going to be out there every day for 16 hours, and you're not going to have time to do anything but learn your lines the night before. And then when you get on the set, you've got so little. You're moving so fast that you just have to keep amped up so high and be ready. And I think that now there a lot of actors never do that. And I think also I never knew much about legitimate theater, having done it only once with the guys off of the suggestion of the guys in the thing.
But look, you did a great job in that.
I had a great time.
Yeah.
And I understood why they looked at that as great training. I understood that.
Uh-huh.
But it is a different medium. There's no
you had to get up
question
there every night
about
in front of
it.
people.
Yeah, and you got to stick to it. But in this kind of movie right here, if you're worried about lines, if you don't have the lines in this movie here, you can't play the part. There's no way Kim could have
No.
been drifting in there, sort of half knowing her lines, or Dennis, or myself.
No, it wouldn't work with it.
And if you wanted us to, there was a lot of movement in this. If you wanted us to get someplace, we couldn't be thinking about. Forget the movement. I don't even know what the line is, And you can see that kind of lost look on an
Isn't it
actor's
strange?
face. I think that's just something that.
But there was
You
another.
can't
There's
do.
another thing you said to me once, and I don't want to get too far away from Big Trouble here, but an actress I will not name. You came to visit me on location. You flew up. I was up in Northern California, and there was an actress who's having a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I said, it's really interesting. She's really struggling, and I know she's really talented.
Yep.
And you said to me, she doesn't think she can do the part.
Yeah, she
Now
didn't look
that's-
very secure.
That's
She just
really
looked-
fascinating.
She just looked like she didn't believe in herself there at that
At
time, that day.
Yeah.
And she's good. You're
Oh,
right.
yeah, she's a terrific
she's a good actress. And
But what was it
but
that
was
I,
just
I
one.
could never get my hand on? What was it? Did I do something wrong? Did I not give her the security? I'm
I don't think that's.
beating myself up for it.
I mean, I think that you can. That's like being a parent with a kid who just grows up and goes south on you.
Yeah.
You do the best you can do, right? I don't think. Now I don't know. I'd ask you about that and say, do you think that when a director casts an actor, if he's cast him right, probably 90% of your job is done with
done.
that guy, right?
It's done.
But if you've cast that person wrong, are you ever going to get it right?
Well, no, you're going to get through it.
You're going to get through it.
You get through it,
Yeah.
but if you've made a mistake in casting, and listen, everybody makes those kind of mistakes. You choose for the wrong reason.
And that's why everybody's afraid of going against type.
Yep.
And it makes sense.
Absolutely. Because if you
But-
type somebody and they've played it 100 times, you
Yeah.
know they're going to do it again.
You
right?
never. The thing that fascinated me about you with this movie, with The Thing, and with Escape from New York, and Elvis, you were saddled. You never gave me the feeling that you were worried about me. I always had the feeling that you knew I was going to do what you wanted. I was going to do what you thought it called for. And I always felt, even if I had a little bit of like, am I doing? I don't know. Is that too far? Is that not far? And all I ever felt was that I could look at you and you'd
And I'd
say,
tell you.
you'd say, go a little more or back off a little. You're getting, But I never felt like, Jesus, I feel really bad because John has cast the wrong guy.
I think our training ground was on Elvis. I remember one night we were doing a scene in that, and we had some new dialogue, and Elvis was talking about Jacob's Ladder, and he was getting kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I kept encouraging you to go a little further with it.
Yeah.
And you finally, you did.
Yeah,
you really got
yeah.
wild on
Oh
it.
yeah. I
And,
remember. Yeah. I said, well, as long as he's
it was terrific. I mean, it was just right. It was just right.
Now, here's where David Lopan gets to take off. He was great in this. I loved him here.
James Hong.
James Hong.
Yeah, he didn't like that makeup too much. That was
uncomfortable.
not fun.
Yeah.
It was extremely tight on his face, and
Yeah, I remember he was uncomfortable, but boy, he knew how to use it and work with it. He's a good actor. He's been around a long time.
do you know where he started? He started in World War II. Get this. Here's a Chinese guy. He went around to USO shows doing Al Jolson impressions.
That'd be Asian, John. He's an Asian guy. Isn't he Chinese, in fact?
Yeah, he is.
He's not Asian, he's Chinese. He's from China.
No, he's not from China. He's an American, but his ancestry is Chinese.
Okay.
And he went around doing Al Jolson blackface impressions.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
Wow.
For World War II.
For World War II.
Yeah.
And
No, he's
really
unbelievable.
good.
He's
He
an
had a lot
amazing
of stuff
stories.
to do in this. I always thought that he understood this movie better than anybody
Yeah.
except for you. I always
he
kind
got-
of looked at him and said, he really
got this
gets
character.
this.
He got the character and what his dilemma was, is wanting to be flesh again. And
Yeah, he really.
Yeah, he got it.
He sold it. Just as an actor, I think probably more people have talked to me about Victor Wong as Egg Shen out of Big Trouble in Little China than any other actor in it, and I think he was pretty special.
Victor's amazing.
He just really hit his stride right there for you, and that was a situation of perfect casting. I think you found the perfect guy for that.
So we were talking about acting, and at this point in my career, I had come off Starman, which had given Jeff Bridges a nomination.
Right.
And that was I had to do penance for The Thing because it was so mean a movie. Everybody thought I was a bad guy.
He's really crazy.
He is nuts, and we can't let him do this anymore.
We can't let him out anymore.
So that was my. I'm so sorry to all of you.
Well, I can remember. And also, at this time, as I said before, you were saddled with me on Elvis. Then I went and did Used Cars.
Right.
Did not
Which
make
great,
it.
Great
it
movie.
did not make it. It's
movie.
now also a cult movie, but did
that.
not make it at the time. Was just died. And then Escape from New York, that movie made it. I mean, that movie had it going from the top. But that was the only movie I did at that time that made any money. That was even successful. And then I did a movie shortly, either before or after this, with Robin Williams, The Best of Times. Didn't do anything. Did a movie with Goldie, Overboard, which it was perceived as doing nothing. And in fact, it actually was the only movie that kept climbing at the time. But it started so low. And actors opening movies, obviously, I was no help to it. Swing Shift was no good. Swing Shift didn't do anything.
I thought they made some money.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't. It certainly wasn't any kind of a hit at all. And I remember we talked about this a little bit, and I said, John, you know, am I just death? I mean, did you want to do this? And I always appreciated that you said, it doesn't make any difference to me. I just want to make the movie I want to make. And you did.
Well, it's probably it's odd for people to think now because people assume that everyone's always been famous and successful,
right?
And it isn't true.
And we
at all.
were
no.
Because you had done Halloween and went through the roof. I mean, Halloween rewrote the books, and then Elvis, which people couldn't even. That's always a great fascination for me because they still can't. They all go, that's right, John Carpenter did that.
You know why they hired me for Elvis? Did I ever tell you why?
No, Dick Clark.
They hired me because I had done the music to Halloween. They thought, well, he knows about music. He should know about Elvis.
They were right.
Can you believe it?
And they were right.
Can you imagine?
That's great.
How bad it could have been then?
Well, I felt sorry for you on
imagine?
Hey, you know, I just remember seeing that going up that ramp. How did you do that? And I remember that was a tricked up deal.
That was a false perspective set. Basically, it was flat, but the set was built at a tilt. So there's one sequence coming up where you go flying backwards, right?
Right.
It was on a track, but you weren't going downhill.
I was going.
You were flat. You're absolutely flat, straight across the stage.
Right.
Still, you put your lead actor in one of those contraptions. You always worry a little bit.
I remember saying to you, now, do I lean a little bit backwards or a little bit forwards here?
But that's one of those great trick sets. I always love those things. I always love those things in movies.
Yeah.
Tend not to believe them.
But you're right. People think, and rightfully so, that, you know, if as the years go by, that you were always successful and famous and all that. This was at a time in certainly in my life where the movies I was doing people weren't going to see them, and they did go to video. Video was, and by the way, I remember video at this time was just really becoming sort of a big deal.
Up, yep.
And I think had it not been for that, I think honestly my career probably would have just not happened.
You think so?
Oh yeah. If it hadn't been for video, I don't think it would have happened.
You know, look at talk about Tequila Sunrise. You came out in this kind of really sexy, sophisticated part.
That was
and all of a sudden, hey, who's this?
That
cool
was
guy?
That was really the movie for me that began to take me out of the. Don't put him in the movie. Nobody goes to the theater if he's in the movie. It did start to take me out of that.
And it reached its pinnacle with Captain Ron.
And Captain Ron then, of course, went over the top.
I actually like Captain Ron.
You know what I love about Captain Ron is, again, it's like for me as an actor, it was something that I wasn't going to get a chance to do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I just wanted to do it because I wasn't going to get a chance to do it. And I was appreciative of getting the opportunity.
I thought, man, that guy has so much courage. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, okay, now this is actually flat.
You are
right
going
here.
across the flat ground, but the set is built at a tilt, so it appears that you're going downhill.
I remember this part. Going backwards was kind of weird.
And then you had to stop on that
this
thing.
This is Mike.
You grab that, and against all odds, pull yourself up.
Well, he's Jack Burton.
And we had a false perspective set on looking down, so it was a tiny, tiny drop, but still a little bit tricky. Now, I don't remember if that was you from the back or Warlock.
I think it was Warlock, because I don't remember doing that.
I don't remember. I remember you did this part, and then we actually let the chair fall, so you were there by yourself. You shove it, right? Make sure it goes over. Oh boy. You know, this. I was reminded. It was mighty. You know, this movie cost about $20 million.
You know, I don't remember. I was going to say
I have
don't
no memory of the budget of it.
But I remember it being a big budget movie.
Yeah.
Or
at the time.
thinking about it as a big budget movie.
They made me cut it in the beginning. It was supposed to be more, and they kept making me cut it.
Now, see, I wonder, what do you think? Has over the years now this movie recouped its money?
I have no idea.
I wonder.
I'm not getting.
I haven't seen anything checked.
Checks. Where are my checks?
Find them. What? Fill the flesh balls up.
has a little transformation effect here, and James Hong is going to. Now that's a phony head there. It glows from the inside, and it shoots out the light.
Now he floats, doesn't he?
Actually, he's on a dolly.
He's on a dolly here.
He's hanging on to it.
And there he goes.
Empty. Mel Ying. I need you, Mel Ying. Whose eyes flash like emerald lightning. Ying Dai, make me flash again soon. Please.
Let's go, it's clear. Safety!
Oh, yeah.
First time you ever plugged somebody?
Of course not.
Come on! You want to go up or down? Up or down? Up!
So we're shooting this particular sequence in downtown Los Angeles in the industrial area. This location has been used 100 times now. I actually saw it in a porn film the other night. But it was a great place.
Some of your
for us.
finest work.
Exactly. It was a great place to shoot. It worked for us
Yep.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Kate Burton. I
Kate
just
Burton was
saw
a blast.
Oh,
she was
great.
sweet. Now, have you seen her at all lately?
I haven't seen her. She's just in a play, and she's doing really good.
She's really a nice person. She did a good job in this too. That's definitely not me.
Yeah, that wasn't you. That was
That's
Warlock.
probably Warlock.
Yeah. I saw Dick in a movie recently. I can't remember what. He's in Casino. That's I know. That was
He was in the movie
years ago.
Casino?
Yeah.
He was a great guy. We were together for
Well, you guys were quite a few
22 years.
When did you guys start together?
We started-
Dick Warlock was Kurt's
My
stunt double.
stuntman. And he started, I believe, one of the first Disney movies I did as an adult. I can't remember which one it was, but I was about 18.
Yeah.
And
Was it
this
the
was
computer
getting
movie,
towards...
whatever you did?
What's that?
I never saw that computer movie. What was it?
Oh, the computer tennis?
Yeah, I never saw
You
it.
never saw it?
No.
John, come on. That's like, right there with Citizen Kane.
I was smoking marijuana, man. I wasn't
You're
going to
supposed-
that.
you can't, you're not supposed to miss that. You're supposed to learn your craft and cut your teeth on great movies. But I think it was maybe that one. And, he was a little older than I was. And I guess I can't remember the last movie we did together, but it was 22 years that I know.
That's
we were together.
amazing, huh?
And then John Casino came in, and now it's been, I don't know, 15 years or something with John. Maybe
Is
more.
that right? I didn't know it.
Well, let's see, 22, 15, 37, probably, 17 years now with John. They amaze me how they can continue to just take it. Yeah, but they're good.
So we're going to come up to a scene where you
Who's
guys
this
are...
gal, John?
I don't remember.
She was
I
good.
really don't remember.
Come up to a scene that
where
what?
you guys are in the swimming pool, then you're swimming down this little kind of trough, and I remember we had to... Well, first of all, the underwater scene earlier, I got this horrible ear infection from because I was underwater with the camera.
Right.
It was the worst. I don't know how you escaped it, though. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
You could swim
I
through
escaped
there?
it on that, but I didn't escape it later on when I did Backdraft. Billy Baldwin and I were in a tank.
What
We
happened?
were blind for 2 days. The paint,
Oh, off the set,
the paint
right?
off the set.
Did you believe it? You would never think that.
And our eyes were cut, and we were lucky we didn't go blind. I mean, we were lucky. And 2 days later, we put all kinds of stuff in our eyes. And
Yeah, people don't think about that, but that paint starts to come off.
It starts to come off, and if the water's warm, which of course they want it to be nice and keep it warm for everybody.
They have to be.
And it started peeling off, and it gets in the water. And but there was no problem here. We did a lot of water stuff here.
We did. Then you swim through into a set, and I remember this was one particular, we had to make sure that the water was clean enough for you guys, because everybody goes through this little trough.
Right.
We couldn't have it bacteria filled.
Right.
Where's Jack?
Yeah, there we are. That's a tiny little set. Actually, you guys are just swimming. The first kiss.
Hey!
Sorry.
We'll get to the scene later, but my favorite scene in this was the idea came when you're kissing her in the elevator and you come out with a lipstick.
Remember we said, what are we going to do about the lipstick?
What a great thing to do. Now that's an example of what an actor they wouldn't do that.
Well, we even asked ourselves at that point. You got at this point in the movie, you got the leading guy. Even no matter what you've done, do you want him going through the next 10 minutes with lipstick on his face? Because we have some fairly serious stuff to do. And we both looked at him. We both looked at each other and we went, yeah, he would. This is what it would be.
Because she had at the time this real intense bright red, and boy, it came right off on you.
Yeah.
When you're climbing up this set and back into the location in downtown Los Angeles.
This was on a set in.
This part was on a set at 20th Century Fox. This is on location downtown LA, and. We're starting to come into a fight now that Dennis Dunn does all by himself. I think this was when the studio knew that they might not have gotten the movie that they wanted. When Jack loses his knife and misses the entire fight. He has no idea. He gives all these instructions, and he opens the door, and we may be in trouble, or whatever the line is.
Ready? Follow the leader. One.
There he goes. Oops.
We may be trapped.
There we go. See, that's the character that I wanted to see you play.
That was the guy. I remember that whole set was all white plaster, wasn't it? All those figurines.
Yep. Oh, you actually get some shots.
Oh, hey, Jack, in motion. Here, look at him. Oh, well.
Yeah. So now they got to fight. We're just waiting to see Jack bust out. Bust out. Let's see him
and
bust
there goes,
out. There goes Dennis or someone who looks a lot like him. Dennis did good.
Working on getting the knife.
There it goes. Dennis was not a martial artist, and he did great.
Yeah, he did do great.
It's all in the. It's in the
head, and he's completely got the great attitude.
There he comes. He's back with us now.
It's all over.
See, the only way I think you get good stuff like this is if you take these kind of risks, and that's the thing about anybody.
Time to go.
That was great. You're right, though, Dennis. Even though that wasn't his thing, he understood it.
Yep, and he sold it really well.
He understood it.
He worked on his sword fighting. He always had this wooden sword in his hand.
Yeah, he played with that a lot
because he wanted that sword fight through the air that looked pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. That's a cheesy, cross-eyed monster.
Who was that? Who was back? Was it two guys back there with each one of them had an eye?
Well, the problem was there was a mechanism, but it didn't quite work, so one eye moved a little faster than the other. Oh, special effects.
They're almost out of there. Oh, yeah.
Except we lose her. And you run to the bus. There's a lot of gunfire, but...
we took the girls with us. That's right. We escaped some of them.
Well, I'm very happy that you did.
I'm
very worried about them.
Some of them got away. We saved some.
Very worried about them. It's interesting, Kurt. You've done kind of all sorts of films. Is there any one kind that you particularly love above another? Is it just the individual project, or do you like dramas? What do you think?
No.
You had to be pinned down on it. What would you think?
I think you just look at these characters that you get a chance to play, and then you see how the movie comes out, and you remember the experience you had. And when you take all those things and you combine them, I'd have to say that Escape from New York was probably the best experience I ever had, because it just worked. It just worked on a level that I hoped it would, and that you totally saw, and doing it was as much fun as seeing it.
Did you ever have a movie you did where you didn't have a good experience, but the result was great? You know what I'm saying? Where it was not...
I may have just done that. I may have just done that,
right?
and no names. Yeah.
Okay.
May have just done that.
Have you had some bad experiences? I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
I
that's too
had
bad.
one, and it was a location picture, and it was away from the family,
Yeah.
and the people on the show were not very good.
Yeah. When you say
And the
very
actors,
good,
some of the actors, especially a lot of ones I had to work with, were just one in particular was just having the roughest time.
Oh, really?
In their life, and it was misery. It was just a misery. But I had taken it so that I could do another movie for what I knew was going to be half price,
Right.
and it all worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out exactly like that. The one that I did for half price was a real good movie to have done, and that was fun. But you know what? I still go with what we've talked about a number of times, is that it's fun. It's fun, really fun to watch this now and remember it. But what I remember, and I think what's hard for people to understand, is that even though you spend a great deal of time with the picture after it's done shooting, I don't, and I really think that people in my position, especially, they have the experience of making the movie. Everybody else in the world, except for people who are working on the picture, have the experience of the movie, but they don't have the 3D version of it live.
Yeah.
And I remember that. I take that as my great memories.
Right.
You know, I really take those as my great memories. And it's impossible to watch the movie unless it's a long, long time since you've seen it to really enjoy just the movie. And even then, you sort of pull back really the day.
Right.
And the good time you're having with people. And
So it's impossible to separate, really, isn't it?
it is for me.
Yeah.
It is for me. I look back at the stuff we've done together, and that's what makes me want to work together again. Not the pictures that we came out with. I like them because I would, obviously I like that type of a movie.
But the experience?
But the experience, for me, we've worked together, 5 times?
God, I don't know. Is that true?
5 or 6 times. 5
times, I think, huh?
It makes me want to work again because it's always been fun. It's just always been a great time.
Yeah, 5 times.
5 times.
5 times.
And I'm sure that's true with other people who work together. They enjoy each other's company in all ways. And that's what I guess increasingly I walk away with that. I increasingly look toward the day as what I'm going to walk away with.
When I was a young director, I had people telling me, now look, you can't go by the experience, because sometimes if you go through a lot of pain with somebody and it's really terrible, sometimes you'll get a good result, on the screen. Yeah. I've never found that to be the case.
For the most part, neither have I. So if you've had a good time and you're following what you're going to do and you achieved it, it's usually a pretty good movie.
Usually pretty good movie.
If the script was good, I mean, I think you and I are believers in the script, though.
Oh yeah. I've made a couple pictures without scripts, and they're not good.
The movies you didn't like the movies.
Oh yeah, I didn't like them because the script wasn't right, and the things I hadn't solved in the scripts.
Right.
No,
it became problems, and then you had to deal with it in the editing room.
And then you have to deal with it, and then you're in some kind of trouble.
It's fun to watch. Oliver is now getting into making movies, and it is fun to talk with him and try to impart for him the importance of the script. It really is. I mean, even if it's no matter what the script is, if it's as close to what it should be, you're in better shape than if you didn't have it.
That's right.
And that I believe is where you should put the hard work.
That's right.
And people talk to me about researching characters and doing stuff like that. If the writer has done it, it's been done.
Then there you are.
There you are. The guy is who he is.
Yeah.
And you don't need to. Matter of fact, I think research can be harmful because you may research and find stuff that the writer chose not to use. He might have read it or gone through it before and said, it doesn't really fit what I'm trying to say in this movie. And I think sometimes an actor can get locked into other research that won't be helpful for this movie. Now, I think it's always good to have a full-on concept of who it is you're playing and what you're doing. But if it gets in the way of what the writer did, the other part of that is if the writer hasn't done that, when you read it, you see it.
Right.
And it's there, and then you guys say, well, I don't understand this guy. Who is he? Which one is he?
Have you ever had a director have a completely different idea of how to play a movie, and totally different?
Yep.
Has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's tough, isn't it? It's tough.
It's just.
How do you possibly deal?
Well,
with
I always feel like it's his movie or her movie, and it's your job as an actor to pull off that vision. I mean, there's got to be a captain of the ship. The director's it.
Yeah, but what if it's so wrong? I mean, they're steering the ship into.
You know, I will try to give my point of view. You know?
Yeah.
But the problem there is if you realize that the person doesn't have a vision, it's all wasted time now. And hopefully you're going to dazzle them with footwork.
Yeah.
And when you don't, it's just a bad movie.
Now, William Goldman, the famous writer, in his last book says that none of us directors have any vision. That's what he says. We have no vision, zero vision.
I know that in your case that's not true. I know that in Bob Zemeckis' case that's not true.
That's what he says.
Now, I don't know. Why does he say that though?
I don't know.
Does he say it because he's written scripts that the director did a different version of his vision?
No, he just says we have no vision. None of us. None.
Today?
No.
Today, as opposed to yesterday?
We have no vision. We have no vision. It's all the screenplay.
I think that it's fair to say that it's been in my experience that in recent years, I've worked with directors who it was difficult for them to have a vision.
Yeah, I've been hearing that in the business a lot. They don't see it. They don't know what they want.
They see something. They see a shot. They see a color. They see a. It's more. I do think we're in. That's actually a good point. Right here, right now, you're watching in your mind, you were seeing him, and you saw him in that slow. You saw him. You only shot him that way. I think that now there are lots of directors. Some of them have been successful. More of them are not going to be, and have not been. That just see something, shoot it because it looks good, and then it's a succession of good-looking images.
Okay.
That aren't telling any story, really. They're not making me feel anything.
Interesting.
And that's maybe what I would assume that's what William Goldman maybe is saying.
Was this a recent development for you? Do you see this in recent years?
Yeah.
Huh.
More now than
before in the old days.
Yeah. Now in the old days too. I mean, there were really guys that were traffic cops. You know. I mean, they knew how to shoot an entrance and an exit and get everybody in focus. But there are directors that have vision. They do have vision. I mean. I've said this many times in interviews. I can watch 20 seconds of a movie of yours, and I can say, I don't know what the movie is, but I can tell you it's a John Carpenter movie. Yeah. I know it. I mean, I can just see that. I can watch.
Zemeckis surely has.
Zemeckis. I can watch the Zemeckis movie for a problem. I need more than that because Zemeckis has shot movies that in some ways. But I can still say that about Starman, for instance. I'd say, I can see Starman and say. Even if I didn't know it was your movie, I'd say, oh, that's John. It's a little more difficult with Bob, but I can watch some shots in Forrest Gump. I can watch some shots in Castaway and say, that's Bob Zemeckis' movie. That's also true for other men, other directors, but
nowadays.
And
there's a whole different style going on, and I think it's been influenced by commercials and MTV, and a whole lot of very fast.
I mean, listen, you did stuff that influenced them, as we know, to shoot certainly on MTV. I mean, there was some big video. This very set, I know, was used, and the look of the way the set was shot was used a lot. Not just a little, not a couple, but a lot.
But my style, is much different than it's old-fashioned.
Well,
it's much more old-fashioned than.
Yeah, but see, your style. I think what was interesting was like I watched a movie like The Fog. Your style then was old-fashioned too.
Oh,
because
you never changed.
I never changed. About telling story.
Yeah, well,
and I mean, I think that's why I like doing movies with you because I like stories.
But
I
that
really
was beaten
do like
into my head the same way you were trained. Okay, about craft in your time at Disney? Well, it was beaten into my head from my college.
Well, for me, that was the Walt Disney deal, was that he believed in telling a story. Now, I think the great thing is when you get the combination of great visualists with storytelling.
With storytelling.
That's
yeah.
cool. That's, to me, that's,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that's going to...
It's always going to win, isn't it?
It's going to win.
Yeah.
Whereas I really would rather see... it's hard to say. I mean, I could pick and criticize and stuff, but I like some movies as much as the next guy that doesn't really tell a lot of story and make me feel a lot, but it's visually fantastic.
That's fun to watch.
It's
right?
okay. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay also with a really good story that's told very flatly. I'm okay with that too. But to me, if you've got a combination of
the two,
just some combination of the two, it doesn't have to be greatly shot. It just tells the story. It just has a way of telling the story. And I mean, I'd be interested in what you're in that world. You're in that world with these guys. What's going on now?
Well, the world certainly has changed. As you get older, you were talking about coming up to 50. I mean, I'm just turned 53, and I've been directing for features
Since
for
you were
about 30 years.
Yeah, professionally, but you were also making movies when you were 8 years
when
old.
I was young.
I mean, you were making full on.
But real features, I mean, real feature movies for about 31 years. And it's certain everything has changed about the business, but the essentials of storytelling have never changed.
No.
I mean, if you know the rules, then you can break them and invert them. You can do all sorts of great stuff.
Right.
You can but you have to know the rules of it.
Yeah.
Or at least some basics of it. And it's much like anybody's craft. It's like an actor. You kind of have some basics that you got to cover. Like you said, you got to know your lines first of all to be able to play a scene.
Yeah.
You can't invent the lines.
No.
It's
And
not gonna work.
ultimately, as an actor, you have to make people feel something. If they don't feel anything, you can't get that invested. Now, I don't care what time, 1,000 years from now, they could be making movies in whatever technical ability exists at that time. But if it doesn't make me feel something, I don't think I'm going to get much out of it.
Now, what do you think about the people who use the so-called, and if it's cliche, the method approach to acting, where they bring up their own feelings, okay?
Yeah.
Their own emotions.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're not
I never
person.
trained that way, but I think
well-
you get to the same place. I mean, I think that method acting, from what I understand, and having talked to other actors, really good ones that were good at it, it was a technique for them to get to a place.
Okay.
I've always felt that however you get to that place, it better be, that place better be honest.
Right.
If the place is honest, I mean, even look at Jack Burton. As far as I'm concerned, I was honest in what he was supposed to be. I mean, at least for me, I was honest. Now, maybe somebody could have done this a lot better than I could. Maybe they had a whole different take on it that would have given it like some kind of fantastic, perfect. I don't have that. I didn't have that, but I know that whatever you do as an actor, if you don't get to a place where you believe it, how is the audience supposed to believe it? And the question I have there is, shouldn't the audience believe it? I mean, aren't we always trying to suspend their reality?
Yes.
I mean, suspend their believability?
Yes. We want them to be in the world that you're showing them.
Yeah.
And believe the characters that they're seeing.
Yeah.
Believe in them.
One of the things that this movie was criticized at the time, and I thought was a fair criticism of the style of movie making, was that two things. One, you never really felt that Jack Burton or anybody else was in real danger. And two, that he wasn't really crazy in love with the Kim Cattrall character, so you weren't really worried about anything. And I think that's a fair criticism. It was just that we were taking a movie trying to make you believe and care for the people, and then we were going to turn it on its ear and say, aren't you going to kiss her? No.
Yeah, no.
No, not him. Not
And that's absolutely fair characterization. I think that's one of the things that the studio wanted us to put in was they wanted to think that maybe you wouldn't make it.
Right.
That the characters wouldn't make it. They wanted to think that you and Kim were going to end up together, or at least there was going to be something more going on there.
Yeah. But this was, I remember one of the lines written about it was that it was absolutely fabulous and terminally hip. And I thought, that's actually an interesting kind of criticism.
Terminally hip.
This guy's great. This
ridiculous.
This is very hip. The eyeball is very hip. But I think that...
but we did the script. That was what
we did the script. That's
was.
what the script was. We believed in it and said, let's go
You're
make it.
going to commit to something like that, then you've got to go for it. And if had it been Had we had a love story, then that would be a slightly different film. And maybe it would have been okay.
Do you think the audiences today who liked this movie would have liked it as much? I definitely don't think so.
I don't know.
I from talking to them, I think that they definitely are glad that the ending is what the ending is. That it looks like a sequel. It's not.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's there was all that too.
Well, I get that all the time.
Yeah.
In the endings, where if you don't resolve something, and you have an ending that has a question mark, or you repeat something over, or you bring another element into it, they say, well, you're just doing that because you want a sequel. Not really.
Not really the thing. I remember the thing. That just wasn't true. That was the end of that movie.
We were out there, and you came up with that last line. You said, this is an ending for a film.
What else could we do?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
There was what does that story say? And I remember you and I talking about that a lot. Because have we taken them on a 2.5-hour ride where there's no resolve? Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no resolve to this. So,
and the original script had it ending where we left you guys in the snow, and coming back, they picked you up in the fall, and you were both creatures. That was like
that tells you exactly something. Even in the original, though, they left it open for what could have, in a different time period, been considered a sequel ending, where it said, "Keep your eyes to the." What was that? What did it say?
Keep watching the sky.
Keep watching the sky.
Oh, the old movie was great, though.
It was great.
Its time.
Oh, it was fabulous. It was fabulous.
So we're getting now down to the big final action scene. As I recall, you guys took some drugs in that elevator.
That's a line that people say to me. That's a line that people say to me all the time when we were in the elevator. I feel kind of invincible.
Oh, actually, you haven't done it yet. I think you do it in a minute. And you toast the United States. I remember it being really fun. That was a fun thing to do. There he goes, right through it. Elevator that goes down.
I know, it's an elevator.
But I see the criticism, and I think that when I first read the script, I thought to myself, the unique part of this film isn't that it follows
conventions.
That's right. That it goes against them.
And if you don't, I also think, when you watch a movie like this, you've done a movie like this, if you don't look at it and say, where are they right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they possibly right? Where are they possibly wrong? Criticisms. If you don't, then the next time you want to break the conventions, maybe you'll break them better.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll break them. Maybe you'll disappoint others.
Yeah.
But maybe you'll break them better.
Terrific. 6 demon bag. Sensational. What's in it, Egg? Win. Fire.
So I can't remember how long we shot this movie for, Kurt. It seemed like a few months, okay? Maybe 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
I cannot remember now.
Yeah. And it was at Christmas time. I remember Wyatt coming down to the set and loving the... He was just... that was just before he was born.
Was it really?
Mm-hmm. It was just before he was born. The kids came out.
Here's the part that everybody else is. Yep. Everybody's a little stoned here.
Not scared at all. I just feel kind of invincible. Me too. Egg putting up with it.
Uh-huh. And then Jack in the final fight, he actually gets a couple of lucky things happen. But boy, that first when he shoots,
this is great. Yeah.
Hits him in the head. It's really a sad day. It's a sad day.
I remember we talked about this too. We said he's not going to do anything.
Well,
what are we going to do? He's not going to perform here. And if you don't leave him with a laugh or something to enjoy, you really do have a problem. But the people who have enjoyed this movie, they really look at this as one of the
they get
best
that whole
moments.
Thing. They get that whole thing.
Perfect for them.
Which is the whole point. The whole point of the film. You actually do heroic things. I mean, there's no doubt. But he's really an idiot. He really is way over his head. He doesn't understand this, and he's not ready for it. He looks like he is. He wants to be.
There's Susie with the white eyes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she didn't like this, and she didn't. If you notice that there's a retractable needle, and James Hong got a little carried away with this. And if you watch her, she starts wincing when he jams it in there because he was really into this. He really got into it up there. Now watch her face in a second when you come back to her.
Oh, easy.
There. She doesn't like it too much because he's just going to town on her. And she did great though. She stood right there and hung in.
She's got the longest neck in the world.
And here we go with our big fight. Everybody gets a yell here. Everybody's coming out of it.
This is it. It's going to happen now. Finally, you're going to get to see Jack Burton in action.
That's it. But no. There he goes. He's out of the picture.
He's out of it.
He's out of the
done.
picture. There he is. And this whole scene, this is where we started getting into the real supernatural
Now,
fantasy.
this was the stuff that is not, some of this stuff, in ways, when you get into it, is not dissimilar from what you can see in Crouching Tiger.
But you know what? If you go back to the old days of martial arts film and kung fu movies, it had all been done before.
It had all been done before, yeah.
I sat and watched a couple of films that really were influential. Zoo Warriors of Mystic Mountain, which was fabulous. It was a real Wizard of Oz kind of Chinese film.
Yeah. Do you remember who directed that?
I do not remember
Yeah.
at the time. Sui Hark maybe had something to do with it. And then there was a Taiwanese film called Swords of Fame. And they had this sword fight in midair. And I thought, well, you just can't
You can't top it.
You can't top this. So we did a little version of it.
Yeah.
And in the old days, you had all the masters with all their chi power, and they put their hands up and shoot rays at each other.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, we have to do that kind of thing in this.
Well, I mean, in a way, you really are going to, at this point, take all the best of the stuff you've loved.
And do it. Put it in there.
Put it in.
Now, Jack's back with us now. He's going to take him out. Whoops. Carter breaks that gun, boy. Off he goes.
See ya.
Yeah, like I said, Dennis spent a lot of time getting down this fight. This was a tricky fight for him.
He was great here. I mean, this is not easy to do.
And as I recall, we had very few accidents on the film, and I'm always thinking about that. Not too many. We had, sprained ankles and nothing like the National Guard in Escape from New York running down that alley with those helmets on. Like people going to the hospital because
they couldn't see anything.
They couldn't see anything.
I love this. He's just too heavy.
And he's stuck.
And he's stuck. That was great. But this is the stuff.
Yeah, we didn't really use wire work as much as trampoline.
You were
stuff.
trampolining here, right?
We were. Yeah. Poor Jack. He can't get that guy off. He just can't do it.
Oh, I love that.
Onward goes.
And this is where I thought that when it coming up here was where he totally got this, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he loved it. He
totally
grew
got
up, but you see, he grew up with
all
real
those films.
old style stuff. He was telling me how they used to put in. They used to scratch on the film the rays of light that were coming out.
When you were shooting that stuff in close-up, were you just running stuff behind them, or
that was a rear screen?
The rear screen, but were you dragging them?
We photographed them. They were lying on their sides on boards,
and you were moving the boards.
We weren't moving the boards. Everything was still. We photographed the background going by. It's like an old-fashioned.
So
stuff.
you put that was on not a green screen, but
just a regular motion picture screen.
Okay,
like you driving in a car.
So they stood still.
Yeah, they were still.
Yeah.
Then we did this whole magic fight, which this is the part that goes back to the real old kung fu movies, back in the old days.
When did they start making kung fu movies in China?
When cinema began there.
They did.
Because
when was like the 30s?
Probably in the 20s they made silent films there, and in the 30s. Kung fu really goes back to their Western tradition, like we had ours in the Old West.
Yeah.
Kung fu came about, they explained to me, because the bigger, taller marauders from the north would come down to these villages, and they'd kick butt, and the farmers couldn't defend themselves, so they'd come down, steal all their crops, take all their money, and go away. So some of the monks got together and
they wouldn't let them have weapons, right?
Figured out a fighting style using farm implements. That's what all the stuff you're seeing
is all based on hoes and rakes and shovels
and sticks and stuff that you can grab. And it was all about getting the enemy so confused by your moves that he becomes yours.
Yeah.
That's where this whole thing started.
And when was that, in terms of history, when was that?
12th, 11th, 12th, 13th century.
That's cool.
And their tradition has never really gone away. I mean, China's an amazing civilization.
Yeah.
And it continues to be to this day. You know, we're just pipsqueaks compared to how long they've been around. Yeah. They've been through a lot of strange stuff.
Yeah. And that's a great history.
Where is he? Wait! Come on.
And I remember this is the last few days of our shoot in the set here, and we were trying to get done as quickly as we could. And the last little bit where we blew up the Buddha and the skull. And
That was coming apart by now.
Boy. There's this giant monster comes out and grabs him. She kicks him. You push him over and then you're off into the elevator.
Where does this go?
Up to his office, Lopan's office. It's cooler up there. From there we can
Do you have a gun, I hope?
have a nice.
Mid-80s. It's hard to remember back to what was going on in the mid-80s in terms of
Other
what other influences, other styles swirling around us.
what were the big movies in the mid '80s?
Remember Rambo 2?
Yeah,
Pretty
Rambo.
big. It's pretty big. That started the
E.T.
action genre.
E.T. was
E.T.
82.
huge.
Alien was happening. Now Cameron was on James Cameron. He was on
Escape.
On
He was a
Escape.
matte painter.
He was a matte painter.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Big old kiss. And this is where we kind of came up with the idea of leaving it on you, actually kissing the actress, and now we reveal you. I just thought it was the greatest, just the greatest. But you surely are willing to be foolish on screen. I just so love it.
Because we talked about this a lot. 'Cause once you got it on, you got it on.
You got it on for a while. She rubs it off because we couldn't. We don't want to do the rest of the movie.
Yeah, well, she finally picked up on it.
You're a flash.
That's a whole lot of fun. I remember showing this to Cody when he was really little, and he just thought this was the greatest. It just dazzled him.
He just
I
loved.
just loved all this
colors.
stuff, all this magic stuff.
Yeah.
Is it too much to ask, Thunder? Kill him for me!
Won't solve anything.
But the thing that I always thought was really cool about this film was that everybody was willing to do kind of an Asian kung fu movie here in America, and the studio. I mean,
thought that was cool.
They actually got behind that.
It really was cool.
Maybe they thought it was going to be something else,
Straighter. What did I never talk to Richter about? Did he ever see it? Did he ever?
Yeah, he saw it.
What do you think?
Yeah. I think he liked it. I know it's hard to tell.
I hope he would. You know.
People get they don't want to really tell you sometimes if they don't like it.
Yeah, right.
You know,
It's tough for a writer. I mean, you've done that. What's that
sure.
like? What's that feeling like when you write something that you feel pretty good about, and another director does it, and it just is.
You got to realize, hey, it's his.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, after a point, it goes out of my hands.
Yeah.
Okay. I give it my best. I remember seeing Eyes of Laura Mars. I sat down and watched it. I thought, well, that's kind of the story I wrote, but you know what? That's his movie now.
Right.
I got to give it up.
Right. And you try to watch it objectively for what it is at that time.
You have to. And if you get angry and you say, "Oh, that's wrong,"
Yeah.
I would have done it.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Yeah.
You're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's not my movie. After I finish writing, it's got to be him. He's got to take it. He's got to get the actors. He's got to get all of that done.
Right. Right.
My job was to sit down on paper and craft it out the best of my ability.
Right. Now, was Eyes of Laura Mars always something you didn't really plan on directing?
It was attached to direct it, but you know, when you're young like that, they'll tell you anything.
Yeah. Right.
And they just dump you.
Right. Right.
And I kind of saw that coming. I was like, well, they're not going to let me do it. Why are they going to let me direct?
So that was before Halloween that you wrote that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they did Eyes of Laura Mars after Halloween, right?
They had it. They shot that in '77, I believe. They released it in '78.
So it was all around the same time.
Right. But I was writing for a living back then. I think you were you playing baseball back then? What were you doing?
Let's see.
Late 70s.
Late 70s. No, I had moved to Colorado. I had finished playing baseball, and I was writing. I was writing in Colorado. I started writing, and just recently, a script that I wrote 26 years ago has got some new heat behind it. Somebody's interested in doing it. And I read it the other day, and boy, is it bad.
You know, you had one great idea once I meant to tell you.
Well, they did it this year.
What's that?
Gladiator. Remember?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right?
I know.
I mean,
But the idea about wasn't it the cat?
Yeah, that's the one they were interested in.
Love that.
Tom.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
what a great idea that was.
Yeah.
Oh, they're interested in that.
Yeah,
now,
there
right?
is. Yeah, I was like, and it's badly written, but it's not. It's got an idea. It's got something
cheap.
Yeah.
No, Gladiator is right.
Yeah.
Now you had it. That was a good idea.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I
thought you
that
did
movie
thing
too.
on the Pirates of the Caribbean. I thought had some potential.
If it would have been done at the time, I think if that now, movies like those, if they get to the right director and the director really feels good about it and sees something in it, they can, in my estimation, they can take a fairly weak script and they can turn it into something good. So he's going nuts now.
Yeah.
Is he the last left?
Let's see. I believe he is. Yeah. I think everybody else is. He's the last guy, and you guys are climbing from one set to the next.
And this thing's falling apart now. Can't make it.
That's a fairly dangerous moment. And he had that straw hat on. He got far enough away from the fire, but I was a little worried. What happens if that goes up, man? He's goner.
When the fire coming close to him,
he's standing under it, and then he has to walk forward. Then it drops.
Right.
That's when you got to trust your effects guys. You got to trust them. I remember once. I'll show you the part where you were running, and there's a squib on the wall, and you went by it, and he set it off too early, and it was not a happy moment.
I remember you were pretty quiet. You were mad. You were mad.
Boy, well.
And I can remember. Yeah, it's only been 3 or 4 times when I see you really get mad, and that one got you mad. And I remember I remember thinking, boy, oh boy, that was close. And you
seemed like
just turned white. You were
just as you went by that thing, I thought he went off.
Yeah.
Did they miss time then?
I saw you turn around and start looking, and I thought, oh, I don't want to be that guy right now.
And the same thing happened. There was a gal who was a stunt girl supposed to come flying through this door. They didn't install a breakaway door, and we had her on an air ram.
Oh, no.
We were on the other side. All I heard was, blammo! What happened?
And nothing happened.
Now she's kind of back there like this. I'm all right. What?
What was that on?
That was on this movie. It was in the White Tiger scene. Oh, my God. Are you kidding?
Oh, God.
So we're running through our set here, and we're getting down to the scene I'm telling you about. Actually, it's coming up here in a couple seconds. There's my truck. My truck! And you run in, and as you go by, as you're making a circuitous route...
This is along that wall.
Along that wall.
Yeah.
They come to shoot, and we're supposed to set off a squib. Now, here it comes, here in a second.
Yeah.
And...
Bang!
Right there. Right there. And it's a little early on there.
I remember catching some of the flack. It's a good thing I kept on. I said, I got to build up speed here. I don't want to get slower as I go along. And when that went off, for a second there, I thought, uh-oh.
Now, how about Backdraft? Didn't you have some good moments on that?
Yeah, there was some stuff with that. They were very good.
Did you ever get in a hairy spot?
Yeah. There was stuff there that I actually was partially responsible for, sometimes not, but it was just it was one where everything had to be planned out as much as you could. But really all that happened there was that you set the room on fire and you wait until you think you can handle it and until it looks the best. And sometimes I just waited too long. And we go into the room, and I turned around one time, and I was the only one there. Everybody at the camera had melted. The camera guys were gone. The other actors were gone, and I couldn't get back.
What'd you do?
I kept going forward, and the room started to get really smoky, and I was in big trouble. Yeah, I was in big trouble in Chicago.
Oh, man.
And I ran down a hallway and used a lot of the techniques that they had taught us before the picture started. And it really saved my life because I was able to make it down to the end of the hallway, which I had no idea how long it was. It was really long, but it was full of smoke. And finally I began to see a light, and I actually for a minute there said, am I alive? Yeah, exactly.
I've made it.
And I broke the window and could breathe.
Now, I'm fond of this ending scene because of the things that we've talked about earlier. Your response to her, and you're kind of hoping they're going to get together, but they don't.
Yeah.
And all the goodbyes. I think this is sweet. And then you're off and running. This is sorry we haven't talked more about the movie, but
but that's the way we are.
You get to hear what it's like to sit and reminisce about something. And
we paid a lot more attention at the time. But the beer's been good, and the cigarettes haven't been stale, so. But I remember this, and this was at the end of the movie, we shot this, and I remember thinking, at the time, it was the feeling of the scene. It was a great experience. It was a blast, the people were blast. I had a great time with you, and didn't know if it was we didn't know. Didn't know if this was going to play or not, but we
Kim looks especially fetching right there.
She
just beautiful.
Yeah.
I always thought it was very heroic of you. You know, your character knew what he was like.
He knew who he was.
I'm not any good at that. I'm not gonna.
But he wasn't gonna let it bring him down.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah. This was.
Nope.
Not in this movie.
So I'm just delighted that all of you committed to playing this. All of you, everybody committed to what they were doing.
Yeah.
Committed to the story, the characters, the style. It was amazing to have that kind of. You didn't have anybody who was really playing in another film.
Nope.
Which occasionally
that happens, and in a movie like this, that's easy. I think that may not be something that's easily understood for people who are thinking about getting into this business. Is that a movie like this? It's if you don't have if the director's not watching everybody, and somebody important starts to play it differently, a different movie, it all goes out the window.
It goes out the window, big time. And I remember we used the I can't remember what the name of the crane was on this. It was new at the time, so.
The gimbal? Was this a gimbal? No, this wasn't a gimbal.
I can't even remember what it was, but I was pretty impressed with it. We did a whole moving shot on you, and it was operated by kind of remote control wheels.
Oh, this was a Luma, right?
Is that it?
Was it a Luma crane?
I don't remember the names of these things.
Well, you were always using stuff for the first time too. I remember
Yeah.
those days. You'd get the first. I'd say, "What is that thing?"
Well, try it out.
You tell me what was going on here.
So we're gonna finally come into my my great singing here on the last song. I recorded this with my friend.
Now check your voice out here.
No, I'm the low guy.
Because I always thought it was like Jim Morrison. You had a Jim Morrison.
Well, see, I always loved Jim Morrison. And Elvis's voice was, of course, that deep round.
Yeah.
But I had to kind of fake it because I had never had a good voice.
But it's fun for people to hear your voice now talking, and because that's what I've always heard. And then
Quacking
I'd
like
always
a
heard,
duck.
then I hear this, and it's like, what? Now who's that? Is that
Nick Castle
Yeah.
and Tommy Lee Wallace and myself are the three singers in this.
Yeah.
And it's all a synth stuff with some.
Tommy Marshall. Did Tommy Marshall die?
I don't know. Was it Drain or Tommy? I don't remember.
Somebody died, and I was told years later.
It
And
might have been Tommy.
I hope it wasn't. Maybe. If he sees this DVD, give me a call. No, I'm not dead.
Kurt, what's wrong?